Good afternoon, everybody. We are going to talk today about solfege and about writing solfege underneath any given melodic example, knowing which solfege syllable to use with any given note. So here we have our staff, our five lines for our staff. Let's go ahead and give ourselves a clef so that we know what part of the musical language we're going to be speaking today. We're going to start with our treble clef. All right, and then I'm going to put something on here that we haven't really talked about yet this year, but that is in every given piece of music. I'm going to give us a key signature. So I'm going to do this one here. I'm going to do two sharps. Now, don't worry about this too much, but what the key signature tells you is basically where is do in this piece of music that we're using. What note on our staff and our scale is do? And we are going to use that as a reference point for all the solfege for the rest of our example. So you don't need to worry about interpreting the key signature for today's assignment. I'm going to do it for you. We're going to eventually work towards being able to do it on our own. But for today, you'll basically be given a note, and then I will have written underneath what solfege that note is for you for the first one. And in our examples for today, for our assignment, it's do both times. It's do. So then what you'll have to do is fill in the solfege for the remainder of the example. So let me just write some notes on here. All right, so we are going to pretend that that is our example. And this is a very conceivable idea that we could have. So what you basically need to do is use your knowledge of the order of solfege to write in the correct solfege for your example. So let's think about this. Here's our order of solfege. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And that's going up, right? And it always uses that same order no matter what, in any key. So let's take a look here. We know we start on do, and that is on the space underneath the bottom line in the example that I'm using right here. Our next note is that first space, which we know is the F space because we know our treble clef note names. I'm sure you guys remember that. So we have a skip here, right? There is an imaginary note in between those on that first line. So we know that the next note isn't re, but rather mi. That's mi. The next note is the first line, that note that's right below the mi. We know that one below mi is re, so that's going to be re. All right, the next note that we have here is the line below our first note. Here's our first note. It's the space below the first line. This is even lower than that. It's one step below that. We know that one step lower than do is always ti. Always. That happens at the top of the scale and it happens at the bottom of the scale. So this is ti. Our next note is back up to that first space. We've already figured that one out. That is mi in this key. And now we're going to go right up the scale. Mi, one note higher than that is fa. One note higher than that is so. And then la. All right, right here we have another skip. We go from this line to the next line up. So we've skipped this space in between. We know that this was la. The imaginary note here in between these is going to be ti. So this would be do. So for today's example, you're going to have to do that. It'll give you a note. It'll tell you what do is, and then an example going both up and down the scale that you need to write the solfege in for underneath. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns. We've done this in class, but it's been a while since we reviewed it. And please know that do isn't the same for the two examples. In our first example, do is G. So this first line, or the second line right here. The second example, do is D down here. But the relationship always stays the same, no matter what. Talk to y'all soon. Have a good day.